Hey guys, welcome again to the channel. Today I have a very special video that I want us to watch together. It's about an LGBT person who confronts a preacher, and it kinda ends very interesting and also surprising at the same time. I want us to watch the video together, and mind you, I'll be also giving my comments as we watch the video together. Let's jump straight in.
Yes, hi, what's your name?
I'll just say my name is Mav.
Say what?
Mav.
Mav.
M-A-V. Yeah.
Go ahead.
Okay, so my question for you is, if God said that there is going to be male and female, and then there's some variety within that called intersex people, why do you guys insist on this binary definition of sex when clearly biology is not so binary? There are intersex people, and you'll say, oh, it's just 1% of people, et cetera, et cetera. And then also, let's extend that to same-sex relationships. So you have someone who's born heterosexual, bisexual, or homosexual. So why is there this thing where God would say, that's fine, but that's not fine. And he creates them knowingly like that. And then in the past, the church has said these people are mentally ill, they deserve to be, put in institutions, penalized, et cetera, et cetera. I mean, I could go on and on about that. But my question is, why do you say that if I'm going to be a Christian again, then I need to repent from being LGBTQI+, and then accept this narrow version of the gospel? That to me is like conversion therapy, and the UN and all these other major medical organizations in the US and around the world have called that torture. So for you to stand here and to defend that, that's pretty messed up.
What a question! What a question from that individual, And sad enough, he actually represents a lot of people out there, who feel the same way, whenever they interact either with the Christian or whenever they hear anything to do with God, to do with Jesus Christ. They always perceive Jesus Christ as an object of hate, in a way, because in their minds they'll be thinking, wait a minute, if I am this way, I identify is this is my gender, not the gender that I was born with, so for anyone to tell me otherwise or anything that opposes that viewpoint that I have, they're the enemy, so you find out a lot of people, they don't want to have anything to do with church, they hate it because in their minds already, that's that's just an institution of hate, Church is hate, and it's filled with, hypocrites. That's how they perceive it, But it's wrong, and it's actually sad because, Jesus is the source of love. But anyways, let's jump straight into the video and hear the response.
What is your response to that?
Well, Mav, let me ask you a question. What is your standard of morality?
I'm myself, I'm a secular humanist. I think that everybody is innately good.
What do you mean by good?
Well, obviously murder is wrong.
Why?
Because if I went and murdered someone's kid, then that mother or father would not have a child, and they would be in mourning, and that caused them some great psychological turmoil for the rest of their lives and trauma they're going to have to work through in therapy. So objectively, we can see psychologically, they're not going to be doing too hot. So of course,
but
that's objectively wrong.
Why is it objectively wrong to harm people?
Because if we are going to come together as a society and cooperate as a human race, we need to have some sort of moral standard to bind us together, regardless if there's a God or not.
But whose moral standard? I mean, Hitler had a pretty tight moral standard within Germany. Why was he wrong?
Well, obviously he was wrong on many levels. I mean, the fact that he murdered millions of people.
But by what standard? Why is it wrong to murder people?
Well, I'm just going to say, within my own experience, if I witness the murder of someone, which I gratefully have not, I would be, obviously, there would be a sinking feeling inside of me, wow, I just witnessed the loss of someone's life. That's a terrible thing to see. Like if someone got ran over by a car and it was so quick and you just didn't see it coming, like of course that would screw someone up for life. So to me, it's like you don't have to attribute it to whether there's a God or not. Like psychologically, the way that my brain is going to see that is like, wow, I just saw harm inflicted onto another human.
Yes, you're describing how you know something's wrong. The question
so that's
is
a psychological feeling, and a physiological reaction.
The question is, why is it wrong if there's no God?
So wait, can you repeat that last thing?
Yeah, you're explaining one of the ways you might know that something's wrong. The question is, why is it wrong if there's no God?
Well, I just think that as a society, we wouldn't be able to just say like, oh, we should allow murder. We should allow this and stuff to happen because obviously slavery was wrong. We abolished that, obviously. Okay.
You're bringing up all sorts of moral wrongs. But
what I'm saying is that was what we need to cooperate as a human race, regardless of whether there's a God or not, because evolution has incentivized cooperation. If I share my fruit with my person, they're going to survive. If I take care of the elderly person in my clan, they're going to survive.
No.
If I take care of the children in my village, they're going to survive.
Evolution.
The human race will survive and reproduce, and therefore everyone else is benefited from it.
Evolution is survival of the fittest.
That's not true. There's a lot more to it than you're strawmanning evolution. You're just so wrong about this stuff. I'm sorry.
Where am I wrong about evolution being the survival of the fittest?
You probably read that guy who funded the Ark Encounter. Maybe you or whatever in Kentucky. You probably read his straw man version of evolution, and I really don't think that you really talk to biologists and you really know what's going on because there's a whole lot of stuff that a lot of you guys will just straw man and not even take as like what it actually says.
Hold on.
Sure, he's all over the place. Sad thing is usually, people from the community, that community, when they are coming for debates, usually it's not really for an exchange of ideas. No, they just want, it's like they ask questions, but yet they are not willing to listen to the answer. How sad, the guy is all over the place. He was talking about this, now all of a sudden he's switching, He's not talking about something else. Oh man. Anyways, let's jump straight into the video and continue watching.
Hold on, okay? Got a lot of people behind here. I'm asking you simple questions. You come up asking a moral question. I'm asking for a moral standard. You haven't given me a moral standard.
I've said objective morality. That is a moral standard.
Where does the objective morality come if there is no God? I'm not the source of objective...
From within our wiring, from collaborating with other people.
Okay.
There are negative consequences to murder, obviously.
Negative is a moral term. You're importing a moral standard into your atheistic system, and you're stealing it from a theistic worldview.
That's not true.
Well, I'm sorry. You don't get
morality. There are so many moral standards besides Christianity. There's Buddhism. There's Shintoism. There's all these different moral codes from all over the world that I've read about, that I've imported. So that's not true.
Mav, I'm going to have to ask you to move away from the microphone unless you give me a chance to respond. Okay?
Fair enough.
Okay? So there is no objective moral standard unless some kind of God exists. Everything is just a matter of human opinion. And so when you hold up a sign that says that certain people have treated LGBTQ people wrongly,
they have, and there's so much evidence for it.
Mav, you might be exactly right about that. But
I am. I have experiences and data to back it up.
Okay, well, I'm sorry that people have treated you poorly. But
you don't have to go on and spread these bigoted viewpoints on YouTube and Facebook like you do. It's just a bunch of misinformation. You have no idea. You have blood on your hands.
Okay, Mav. Do you want to have a conversation, or you just want to...
No, I really just would like you to just apologize and turn around and see that what you're doing is harmful.
Mav, there's only harm if God exists. Harm is only evil if God exists. And so you're stealing...
harm regardless if God exists or not.
Thank you, Mav. You're not interested. Thank you for coming. Hey, Mav, if I gave you a book, would you read it?
Is it on Audible? I have severe ADHD.
I don't have an Audible with me, but
Is it on any type of written
I'll tell you what. If you go back
to text to speech,
if you go back there and you give Evan at the table your email address, I will email you personally.
Okay.
All right? Thank you. And by the way, before we go to the next question, now that I have a chance to speak here, I appreciate people coming here who have a different point of view, but it's got to be a dialogue. It can't be a monologue. And I think that, yes, people who identify as LGBTQ have been treated poorly. But I also think now that Christians are being treated poorly. And both of them are wrong. We ought to respect people even if we disagree with them. But that's a moral category. And respect only makes sense as a moral category if there's a moral standard beyond us. Otherwise, everything's just a matter of opinion. If somebody says gay is good, that's a matter of opinion. If somebody says gay is bad, that's a matter of opinion. You have to have a standard. My question to anybody who disagrees is, what is your moral standard? If there is no God, there's no rights to anything. There's no Christian rights. There's no gay rights. There's no transgender rights. There's no human rights. It's just one person's opinion against another. And when we say we're atheists and we start bringing moral categories into the conversation, I'm going to ask, what's the standard you're using? It turns out the standard's stolen from God himself. And that's what I cover in the book, Stealing from God, Why Atheists Need God to Make Their Case. We might agree with a lot of stuff Mav said, that people have been treated immorally, but unless you have a moral standard outside of yourself that we're all obligated to obey, it wasn't really immoral. Do you see the point?
What a video. How sad, that a lot of people, they have to go through this, in their lives. I'm talking about Matt, that guy who just asked the question there. The sad thing is probably that guy, maybe he's a student somewhere, maybe a college student. And the sad thing, it's almost as if they are taught how to think, they are taught how to speak. Because the sad thing, or the funny thing is that most of the times you'd always notice that usually these the people from the community, the LG, community, they're always angry. They're always angry, especially with Christianity. You rarely hear that an LGB member is angry with this, maybe with Hinduism, Muslim, or any other sorts of religions. But it's always Christianity. And I want to ask the question why. Someone might argue that the Christians are the most vocal in terms of judgment. They're always judging other people, claiming that their religion is the only true religion. But, well, ladies and gentlemen, there's more, there's more, Christianity is the only religion whereby God himself is the one who comes to the people to have a relationship with him, Unlike other religions, it's more like man who's trying to reach to God, through all these means, either worship or, whatever other means are, how they do it, So it's always man who's trying to reach out to this God, But Christianity is not like that. Christianity is God himself. Remember, the Bible, John 3:16, it says, "For God so loved the world that he gave his only Son, that whoever believes in him will not perish but have everlasting life." And then if you read from John chapter 1, from verses 1 up to 12, up to 14 actually, you'd notice that in the beginning was God, and God was the Word of God. God was the Word is God. And that God, who is the Word, became flesh and came to the earth to live among people, to live among his creations. Can you imagine that one day you were just walking in the streets, and then the creator of the universe would also be walking, in the streets with you, with flesh and blood? I mean, I just think about it sometimes, and it's so mesmerizing. Oh man, wow, what a life it was, back then. But not to say that um, things are not bad, especially for those who believe in Jesus. No, it's not bad. It's actually, more glorious now. But the point I'm trying to put across really is to say that in Christianity, there is more. There is more in Christianity. Remember Jesus' words, it says, I am the way, the truth, and the life, and no one comes to the Father, to God, except through me. You see? So that on its own, it tells us that Jesus is saying, there is no other way except through me. So I would think that the best, thing that any man or any woman can do is to investigate for yourself. Probably sometimes maybe you meet some Christian brother or Christian sister and they were judgmental to you. Maybe, I don't know, maybe others might not always, relate with other people rightly, you see. But that doesn't mean that you then have to say Christianity, therefore, is false or it's filled with bigots, No, because Christianity is not about the Christians, but it's about Jesus. It's about God Himself, who is saying, I am in love with you and I want you to know me so that we can love each other together. That's pretty much what Christianity is. So, I would always, if I probably had the opportunity to talk to talk to Matt there, I would say to Matt, how about you, you find out about this God yourself and talk to Him yourself and then wait for the answer, In other words, how about you, you go direct to the source, Because remember, it's not about the Christians, it's about Him, Jesus, the God, So that's the difference there. That's the difference. And, whenever we don't, realize that, in Christianity, there's reality. In other words, the communion with God, the fellowship with God, that relationship with God, it's something that's real, something that's alive. If you ever wondered why, many, many years ago, from the first century, people would be killed for this Jesus, and they have been killed for years and for years, till to this day. There are Christians who are killed for believing in Jesus. And would all these people, live their lives, choose to sacrifice themselves through different generations, all for a lie? Yeah? And up until, this day, in this era where we are now living, the lie has been covered up and being covered up for thousands and thousands and thousands of years. I don't think that'll be possible, to be honest. I don't think that'll be possible. So maybe this Christian thing might be true, maybe. But hey, don't take it from me. Come, investigate yourself. And the starting point you can start from is getting into the Bible. Read the Bible. Seek understanding. Come and read the Bible with the clear motive of trying to really understand this thing. Whether if it's really true, whether if it's really real, and if it can be depended upon, and whether you can, bank your life on it. I think that's an important decision each and every man or woman must make for themselves. Well, tell me also what you think, guys. I'm always interested to hearing your views, I always want to know what you also think. Type something in the comment section be sure to go through the comments, and also find out your views. And thank you so much for watching. If you've not subscribed, please do so. It helps us also to grow as a channel. I'll be seeing you again next time. It's bye-bye for now.